Did you ever wish that you could schedule an Airtable automation based on a particular date and time? Or maybe you wished that you could go inside of your database and find records inside of your automation. Well, Airtable just shipped out some new updates to their automations feature, and this is top of the list. So if that's of interest, stick around and let's get into it. Hey, my name is Gareth Pronovost. I'm the owner at Gap Consulting, where we help you to organize and automate your business and life. If that's of interest and you want to learn more about how we do that, check out our website. I will include links below. And don't miss our free Airtable crash course if you're new to Airtable. It's going to get you up to speed quickly and easily in the software. But without further ado, let's jump into the heart of today's video. We are talking about the two newest features that came out with Airtable Automations, and these are both in alpha. So, quick forewarning here at the beginning, these things are subject to change. So let's go ahead and jump in and see how they're working currently and see what changes they might make in the upcoming weeks and months. So inside of Airtable Automations, whether you're on a free or a paid plan inside of Airtable, you get access to these. They are in the upper right-hand corner of your screen, and you can open up this little side panel by clicking on Automations. And the first thing that you might look at here is that you need to choose a trigger whenever you're building an automation. If you were to explore these triggers a week ago, you wouldn't have seen 5 here. There would have been the first 4, but this 5th one here, at a scheduled time, did not previously exist. So if we jump into at scheduled time, you will see that, as I mentioned, it is in alpha, and Airtable puts up a warning here, and I'm just going to repeat it for everybody watching. The at a scheduled time trigger is in alpha, meaning that it is in an active development environment, and it may break, be removed, and or its behavior may change. So putting that out there, fair warning, consider yourself warned. That being said, this is a very slick new automation trigger, and I've built out a really simple template that will showcase not only this, but also how you can use Find a Record as a new action step as well. Find a Record is a new action, as I mentioned. If you just come down here, you now see that you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 actions within Airtable as well. And again, had you been doing this a week ago, you would not have had Find Records, the 4th one from the top right here. So these are the two things that we're going to be taking a look at. Let's go ahead and jump into our template first, and then we're going to watch them in action. So really quickly, I'm just imagining that we have the following. We have a sales table here, and really simple for this example, we are capturing a date of a purchase, we're capturing an amount, and what we sold. Now on the back end here, we want to connect these to a report, and that is going to be our second table. So if we look at weekly reports, this is pretty straightforward. We have a week end, and this is getting date time stamped with the date that the week is ending. So if we were to create one manually, we would say, oh, well, you know, it's going to end, let's say our weeks go Monday through, Monday through Sunday. So by bringing in the 24th here, we built a little formula that rewinds the clock and says, well, this is when the week started. This is now when the week ended. And you can see that we don't have any sales yet for that week. Well, the idea here is that we don't want to capture that report until the end of the week, right? And so then if we were to do this manually, we would come in and we would automatically add these sales that occurred in that time frame to our particular report. And then, of course, those sales would roll up here. But now, thanks to these two new features, we can actually build an automation that puts all of this into work for us and does it all automatically. So let's jump into this automation that I've already set up here. And I'm going to go ahead and delete that weekly report record that I created because we are going to use the automation to do it for us. Now, first things first, let's talk about the schedule time. This is the trigger. And we get two different choices when we're setting up a scheduled time. We can run the automation either on a particular day of the week or at regular intervals. So if we look at regular intervals, and this is really kind of cool, we can choose some sort of recurring or a time span that we want this thing to run every so often on. We can go all the way up to 24, and we have the option to either do minutes or hours here. So if we're doing hours, great. If we were doing minutes, we get 15-minute increments. So 15, 30, 45, or 60 minutes. So these are your two choices if you're doing recurring intervals, right? So you can get up to the 15-minute level of granularity, or if you change it to hours, you can get all the way up to 24 hours. So if you want to trigger it every 12 hours, cool, set that up and it'll do its thing. So that's regular intervals. The other side of scheduled time is days of the week. And honestly, I personally think that there's more use here, but I'll let you be the judge for what makes the most sense for you. But for me, let's say, and in our example, we are saying, hey, we want this thing to run on Sunday at midnight so that we can set up, the next week, right? Or run the report for the previous week. So in order to do that, we just say run the automation on days of the week. We would say run it at 12 a.m. on Sunday. And you can see here that you can even get more specific and run it at 12 a.m. on multiple days a week if you wanted to do that. So if you're reporting sales, daily, then that might be a good choice for you and just click all those on, or you could set up interval every 24 hours. In either case, that's how schedule time works. You can run a little test here. Normally, when you run a test, Airtable's automation is going to go out and find, data that corresponds to your trigger. In this case, of course, it's not actually Sunday at midnight, but it goes out and it's going to allow us to move on from this step. And now for step 2, we get to go into find records. Again, this is also in alpha. You're going to get that warning right now as of this recording. This may change. The cool thing about find records, and it says it up here, is that we can find up to 100 records in this database that match the conditions that we set up. And we can also use the gear menu to match on a value from a previous step. So instead of using a trigger of scheduled time, if you had some other trigger, like a record or something like that, you could actually bring that information in and say, hey, I want to find records that match these conditions based on that first record. In this case, though, we want to find records that match the condition of our weekly report is empty. So let me just do a quick timeout here, and let's go back to sales. And again, we can see that these sales, these were from previous weeks, they've already linked up to a report, right? So once these sales are made and the report is run, then they're connected to a report and we don't have to worry about reporting on them again. But for our specific example, we want to find sales records where there is no weekly report. And so that is what I'm looking up here. I'm saying look for sales in the sales table where weekly reports is empty. And by running this test, of course, we could add more complicated conditions if we wanted, but we're not going to. But we run this test and we should find that we have these 5 records right here that all match that condition. And this is pretty cool because that is exactly what this is going to find. Airtable records located 5 records and it shows us exactly what those are. Now, the final step in our automation that I've built here is we are going to create a record. And so here we're going to create a new record in weekly reports. And I want to show you that you actually get some cool data from the @ScheduledTime trigger. Because what I want to do again is to bring in the date for the weekend, right? So when I created this manually, I just typed in a date. Well, I can actually come in here for that weekend and I can add 3 different things. I get the actual time that this automation triggered, the expected time that the automation triggered, date and time I should say, and also when the next time that automation is scheduled to trigger. So this is really cool. This is a lot of information and we could think of a lot of different use cases. I'm sure you could too. A lot of different use cases for how you can plug this into your automations. In this case, I'm just going to go with the expected trigger time and I'm bringing that in here. And then on sales, what I want to do is link all of those record IDs that I found in my second step. So when I went and found all those records, those 5 different records, I want to link them all to this new sale report or this new weekly report that I'm running. Now I'm going to go ahead and click done. I'm going to update this. We made some changes or what have you when we were building that out. And we're going to go ahead and run this test. Let's go ahead and test it and see how this works. And we should see that in fact it does create a new record here for us. It stamps the weekend, although it looks like it's a day off from our interval that we were hoping for. So some tweaking there is going to be needed. But it grabbed all of those sales that were once missing a weekly report, and now it's connected them to this new report. So this is really slick. And this is, I should say, something we used to be able to do with scripting, which is a little bit more advanced, but now anybody can build this just with some simple if this then that logic. So now we have the ability to link all of those sales that we found them in that second step, created a record in our third step, and got everything synced up. So let me know in the comments below how you are thinking about using these two new features, and if you are excited about the new things that Airtable might be launching soon. As always, I hope you found that to be extremely helpful. If you did and you'd like to learn more, swing by our website and see how we can help. We offer a free Airtable crash course that will help you level up in Airtable quickly, and we also have some paid services, including hourly consultations with our experts. We have some online courses and a group coaching program, and for advanced needs, we can build a bespoke solution for you from scratch. So swing on by, and I look forward to connecting with you soon.